Hello, BookTube. Those of you who've been feverishly following all of the tiny, minute dealings on this channel will know that recently I had to have that bookcase along the wall there pulled away from the wall in order to get access to a wall socket behind there, in the hopes that it was not overloaded, in the hopes that it was in relatively good working condition and would work to power an electric space heater for this drafty old house. Rather than pay $5 million for an electrician to come in and overhaul the whole place. So I had to have the boys pull that bookcase out and get access to the plug on that wall. And that required not only taking all of I didn't want to take everything off the bookcase. So we took the books off the top shelf. They were goners anyway. They were December and January, or November and December. And also, it required pulling out the books at the very bottom. There's a space between the bottom shelf of the bookcase and the floor that was full. And it was full of a certain kind of thing. In the reviewing world, there are all sorts of ways that you can get an advanced copy of a book. And the typical finished ARC, advanced reader's copy, that a lot of people see on BookTube is only the last of those kinds. It's only the latest and most available of those kinds. There are other kinds of things. You can get an electronic file, very rare to do, but sometimes publishers do it. You can get unbound pages, just a box of pages. You can get bound pages where somebody at the publishing house just takes the pages of a manuscript and goes to a copy shop and has them bound. What's up, baby? What's up? Huh? What is it, baby? And it turns out that that on the floor underneath this bookcase, there were a whole bunch of those. There were a whole bunch of spiral bound pages, bound galleys, and I wanted to show them to you. If I can't drag you through my miscellaneous book trash, then who can I drag through my miscellaneous book trash? So let's see what we have here. There's a stack of them. I don't know what to do with them. You know, it feels a little bit wrong to just throw them in the garbage. But they are huge and bulky, and I haven't even checked. Actually, considering that this is 2019, what is it, baby? What's the matter? What's the matter? Considering this is 2019, there might be a collectibles market. There's a collectibles market for absolutely everything. I don't even want to know. So instead, I just sort of tuck them away. I'm never going to need them. I just don't get rid of them. So the first one is by an author that I can't stand. So it's a perfect illustration of how I keep these things when I shouldn't, when there's no reason for it. This is Frantumaglia by Elena Ferranti. You see what I mean? Somebody just took the individual pages of this thing, uncorrected, collated or anything, and just went to the copy shop and had it spiral bound. Anybody can do that. And I read it. It's called A Writer's Journey. I thought it was every bit as self-impressed and mercilessly wordy and just pointlessly turgid as everything else this author has written. She's renowned all over the world, so that shows you what I know. Then this next one I got one of the reasons that you will get just bound pages like this is because it is one of the earliest ways that a publicist can get a book to you. So if you're particularly eager, or if a publicist is particularly obliging and wants you to have a book as soon as possible, this is the way they will usually send it to you. And that's what happened in this case with Hilary Mantel. This is Bring Up the Bodies in just a bound galley form, just because the publicist in question wanted me to get this as soon as possible, and I appreciated it. I really did. Another way that you will get these things is if the author themselves has pages that they've run off a million times and just wants to bind them and give you them before there's even an advanced galley, before there's anything at all. That's the case here, where we have Under the Small Lights by John Cotter, debut novel in short stories by John Cotter, about a group of overprivileged youth in and around Walden Pond. Still available on Amazon. I'm pretty sure you can get a copy, and it's very good, vivid prose. Then we have sometimes I will get these things through Kirkus Reviews. the Kirkus Review indie branch, where I do a huge amount of reviewing, sometimes doesn't have an electronic copy. Sometimes this is the only kind of thing that they have, and I don't ever follow up to find out if the book that I got in this format and reviewed was ever printed in any way. I don't ever follow up to find that out, and in this case I really should. This is by Kurt Finch, and it's a novel called Magpie, in which a feckless young journalist is assigned as an assistant slash babysitter to an overblown, overdramatic celebrity writer who is pretty clearly patterned on Christopher Hitchens. And it's poignant and also hilarious. It reminded me very much of the great movie My Favorite Year. And I don't know if it's even a book. I have no idea at all. I read it, I sang its praises, and then, you know, there was always more. There are always more books coming down the lines. I don't always have remember to you know, turn around and find out what happened to these things that I'm writing about. And in this case I should, because Magpie's terrific. You would really like it. It deserves a major publisher. And then the next one came from the publisher. This is years and years ago. This is for Emergency Chronicles, Indira Gandhi and Democracy's Turning Points. It starts off, the starting point is the declaration of martial law, of a state of emergency in 1975, and the crackdown on, you know, press freedoms, personal freedoms that resulted. I thought this was really good, and I don't remember that I ever got the book. I think sometimes I only get this format. I don't really know what explains that. I don't think I ever got the book, and I'm sure the book is out in paperback by now. Okay, I think we saw this on this channel. This is by Dan Plesch. This is Human Rights After Hitler. And again, somebody just took the pages and had them brought to Kinko's and just, you know, punch hole copied like that. Just so that the reviewer could have a copy early, and maybe sometimes the publishers will run out of ARCs, and this is all they'll have left. Sometimes they'll have this weeks before they have even ARCs, and they want to get the word out. They want to, you know, as many critics to know about it as possible, so this is what you get. Okay, this one I don't remember at all. This one I may never have read. This is by Johnny Alexander, and it's called What Hope Remembers. Looks like a wholesome romance. Sometimes tough to tell from these things when these books came out. When was this? 2017. 2000. Yeah, look, and when you've got the pages inside the book at the very bottom, the index has not only the date it was printed, but the time, the time of day that it was printed. I don't think I ever got an actual book of this at all. If the sharp-eared among you may hear what sounds like an aircraft carrier that has just landed, that is the heat here at Hyde Cottage, which is ancient and creaky and very loud, and like so many things that are ancient and creaky and very loud, it's not very effective. So that's the noise that you're hearing. Then next we have, this is by Mary Soderstrom. This is Road Through Time, the story of humanity on the move. This is popular archaeology that I don't think I ever got. This is all about how humans move each other, first walking and then carts, roads, trains, all that sort of stuff. Anything that can show up in the archaeological record. Quite interesting stuff. I remember liking the book, but I don't think I ever actually got it as a book. Okay, this one, yeah, this is by Gary Jensen. I know I never got this as a book. This is Station to Station, an Ignatian journey through the Stations of the Cross. That's the Ignatian there is St. Ignatius, and this is the Stations of the Cross. Those of you who aren't Catholic may not have any idea what that means. It's I always found it very, very useful for contemplative purposes to do the Stations of the Cross. You can Google it and find out what it is. But it is designed in the story of the Passion and the crucifixion of Jesus Christ is broken up into stages, and you are encouraged at every stage of the cross to pause and ponder. And I've always gotten a lot of good, a lot of worth out of that. If I remember correctly, I didn't get a whole lot of worth out of this. It didn't seem very Ignatian to me. It seemed far more to be just the author's personal view. Okay, and then the last one on this book trash. This is a book trash review. Well, this is not trash, really, though. I'm not sure how many of these things I would just plain get rid of. this this came to me. I don't think it ever came to me as a book. Oh God, I wrote all through this thing. Angrily wrote all through this thing. This is Old Earth or Evolutionary Creation, and it denies provable, testable science on virtually every page. There are huge things here that are annoying. Sometimes the author showed bare competence, an actual competence when it comes to understanding modern biology, modern biochemistry. A lot of times not. A lot of this was designed to cloak a mythology in pseudoscience, specifically designed to hoodwink people. An author who gets close enough to this subject matter to be able to lie like this about it already knows that it's a lie. So the goal is not to propound the truth. The goal is to fool the gullible. And that bothers me, of course. I don't have much objection to reading a young Earth creationist book written by someone who honestly believes in young Earth creationism. The only objection I would have there wouldn't have anything to do with the book and how well they do it. I've actually read a couple of books on that heading that were well done. I wouldn't have any objection to the book. There, my objection would be, well, okay, you need to read more. You need to educate yourself because you're obviously intelligent and you've written a very eloquent book, but you've written an eloquent book based on 6th century BC science. And your entire life is bounded on all sides and completely dependent on 21st century science. So it seems a little hypocritical for you to turn a blind eye to everything that you need to live in order to write a book about how the cutting-edge science of the 6th century BC was actually correct. I don't really have a problem with those books other than that. My problems with books like this, or Michael Behe, or figures like that, Signature in the Cell, that sort of thing, where these people have understood enough of the science to know they're wrong. And they're writing books like this in order to cash in on a grift. That drives me crazy because that is an act of evil. So there you go. I don't really even know what to call this. I just found all these things buried in the dust underneath this bookcase, and before I figure out what to do with them, I thought I'd show them to you. That's all. Some of them are interesting. I'm pretty sure I will keep some of these things. I'm pretty sure that I will. I think we might have seen them before on this channel. What haven't we seen before on this channel? In 2020, we're going to hit 3,000 videos on this channel. 3,000 videos. So anyway, so I may be repetitive. It may be my job to be repetitive. Little Simpsons reference for you. So I'm going to wrap this up. I hope this was of interest to some of you. I'm going to post it anyway because what choice do you have? You knew that when you married me. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.